Joseph Pearson last updated 12:53 the 18th of June 2018. Getty Images. Former England captain Chris Robshaw despairs as the Rugby World Cup campaign on home turf fell apart. AP. Bobby Moore, England's captain of their last side to win the FIFA World Cup, in 1966. NZPA. Sam Parrott scoring against England in New Zealand's semi-final victory in Brisbane. Getty Images. Wayne Rooney appealing to Uruguayan linesman Mauricio Espinosa after Frank Lampard's shot that crossed the line wasn't awarded as a goal. Peter Meacham. Stuff. England's Simon Shaw looks on as France's joyous players celebrate their quarter-final victory at Eden Park in 2011. Getty Images. Sean Johnson broke English hearts with his last gasp try at Wembley in 2013. Getty Images. Luis Suarez ended England's World Cup hopes at the last FIFA World Cup. Getty Images. Bangladesh's Takin Ahmed celebrates an English wicket as they dump England out of the last Cricket World Cup. Getty Images. England crashed out in the pool stages of the last Rugby World Cup after defeats to Wales and Australia at Twickenham. Getty Images. Iceland players celebrate as England's collapse in horror following their stunning exit from Euro 2016. Getty Images. Jermaine McGill very looking despondent after England's 6-0 loss to the Kangaroos in last year's Rugby League World Cup final. Getty Images. Can England avoid the horrors of the last decade in Russia? Rugby. It's that time again. That time when apoplectic euphoria skyrockets. That time when punch-drunk butterflies in your stomach turn to boozed up bulls in a china shop. That time that traditionally ends in sulking and a nauseating assurance that tomorrow's sun won't rise. England's finest footballers have been packed onto a luxury flight carrying the baggage of millions of mad English fans still harboring an unhinged hope that can't be explained in words, a whimsical wish to at least be alive when, if England become world champions for the first time since Bobby Moore lifted the Jules Rimet Trophy in 1966. The Three Lions are in Russia for the 2018 FIFA World Cup, but without the usual demented expectations of previous tournaments, and for good reason, when you peek back and unravel what's happened when English sides have competed on the global stage in the last decade. Stuff's resident English sports reporter Joseph Pearson recounts his own sporting traumas from following England's decade of disasters, extending the numbing pain to miserable World Cup campaigns and other codes. 2008 World Cup in Australia, Rugby League. The party was over after losing 32-22 to New Zealand in the semi-finals after winning just one game, 32-22 against Papua New Guinea, from 4, which included a dreadful 52-4 defeat to Australia in the group stages. Add feedback. Any positives? Because we never stop believing, Australia didn't win the thing thanks to the Kiwis. Anya Fullers, 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Football. The party was over after getting absolutely mullered 4-1 by Germany in the round of 16 after scraping through a group which the wretched S**N newspaper headlined easy. E was for England. A was for Algeria, 0-0. S was for Slovenia, 1-0, and Y was for Yanks, 1-1. G stood for Germany and go home. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. Not awarding Frank Lampard's goal against the Germans maybe made FIFA finally realize that goal line technology would be handy. It crossed the line as far as David Warner's sledging. Fred Moore, * World Cup profiles, England * Stuff's World Cup predictions * printable wall chart, full schedule 2011 World Cup in India, Sri Lanka, cricket. The party was over after a crushing 10-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka in the quarter-finals, which was well-deserved after ignominious pool stage defeats to Ireland and Bangladesh. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. Nobody really cared because England's test team had just walloped Australia in Australia to win the Ashes Down Under for the first time in 24 years. 2011 World Cup in New Zealand, rugby. The party was over after a 19-12 quarter-final defeat to France after a month of controversy dominated by headlines of drunk English players tossing dwarfs in Queenstown. Then making formal apologies for inappropriate comments made to a female hotel worker, and Manu Tuilagi jumping off a ferry in Auckland Harbour and getting fined after he was detained by police. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. I'm sure the gents had a jolly good time in Queenstown. 2013 World Cup in England, France, Ireland, Wales, Rugby League. The party was over after Sean Johnson's heartbreaking last gasp try that snatched New Zealand a dramatic 22-18 victory in the semi-final at Wembley. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. Stadiums around England were packed out during the 13-man code's most commercially successful tournament to date, and Old Trafford hosted a world record crowd of 74,468 for the final in Manchester. 2014 World Cup in Brazil, football. The party was over after group stage defeats to Italy and Uruguay, both 2-1, in the opening two matches, and an incredibly dull 0-0 result against Costa Rica then wrapped up another feeble failure. This World Cup outing was like being thrown out of a nightclub for not consuming an alcoholic drink because you didn't want to party. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. An early exit meant we could actually sit back, relax, and enjoy what was an excellent tournament without having to suffer the trauma of watching another lame England game. 2015 World Cup in Australia, New Zealand, cricket. The party was over after yet another awful defeat to Bangladesh in pool play, as England failed to even reach the quarter-finals after also getting trounced by Australia, New Zealand and Sri Lanka. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. A tournament down under in February, March meant viewing was largely restricted to peeping through blankets in the wee hours at the end of a biting British winter, so you had an excuse to not watch another meltdown. If you're not watching, it's not happening. Am I right? 2015 World Cup in England, rugby. The party was over after defeats to Wales and Australia at Twickenham in pool play, as England catastrophically crashed out of their own World Cup before the knockout stages. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. No. Asterisk honorable mention. Euro 2016, England 1-2 Iceland, losing to Iceland. Population around 330,000, who were well renowned for fishing, not football, in the minds of English fans, made England's footballers the laughingstock of the sporting world. The defeat in the round of 16 clash in Nice, France, was utterly embarrassing, and just a whisper of Iceland will send an ice-cold shiver down the spine of even the most hardy English football fan for generations. 2017 World Cup in Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Rugby League. The party was over after losing the final 6-0 to Australia after squeezing past Tonga 20-18 before more than 30,000 vivacious Tongan fans in the semi-final at Mount Smart. Any positives? Because we never stop believing. Forget it's the Rugby League World Cup, in which England are guaranteed to at least reach the last four, and forget that Australia won. Again, England made the final. 2018 World Cup in Russia, football. Disbelievers' prediction. Quarterfinals, England not advancing from a group with Belgium, Panama and Tunisia would be a seismic failure to match losing to Iceland at Euro 2016. Should they progress, England's inexperienced squad would avoid the tournament's big boys until the last 8, but the dizzying heights of a semi-final would surely be a distant dream. Surely? England's World Cup fixtures, Group G, Tunisia on June 19 at 6 a.m. NZ time, Panama on June 25 at 12 a.m., Belgium on June 29 at 6 a.m. At a glance, England's World Cup horrors since 2008 to 2008, League, lost 32-22 to New Zealand in semi-finals. 2010, football, lost 4-1 to Germany in the round of 16. 2011, cricket, lost by 10 wickets to Sri Lanka in quarter-finals. 2011, rugby, lost 19-12 to France in quarter-finals. 2013, league, lost 20-18 to New Zealand in semi-finals. 2014, football, knocked out in group stages. 2015, cricket, knocked out in pool stages. 2015, rugby, knocked out in pool stages. 2017, league, lost 6-0 to Australia in the final. 2018, football, to be revealed. Stuff.